The other thing that I would absolutely agree with you that I often hear is, I think in society there's a lot of finger pointing. From the bottom we point to the top. It says, I don't see you, I don't feel you. It's kind of this remote leadership principle. I need you to be more of a leader. I need you to kind of motivate me and show me the way. I think that's a lot of leaders are afraid of that because of the potential ramifications of being too upfront. Then your failures are easy to be seen. And then from the top, I would absolutely agree with you, especially some of the leaders that you would presume are the ones who would appreciate the least a counter opinion from the bottom, are the ones who say for themselves, I wish that my staff was more empowered and that they were proactive and that they would take the lead. I absolutely agree with you. I think that saying yes is one of the classical hallmarks of a poor leadership culture. On the other hand, saying no is also a problem. You and I both worked in luxury hotel business a long, long time ago. We learned this a long time ago. Don't say yes if you can't deliver. Don't avoid saying the word no. So the alternative, what's the alternative? And that's what leaderships are looking. Leadership is looking for that alternative, right?
I mean, look, I'll give you a perfect example. And I've about a year ago, I ended a contract with a company, a leading real estate company. I was brought in by the senior leader of the organization to do culture change and culture shift and et cetera. And I was really coveted, come work for us, Hayssam. We want you to come work with us. We've seen what you've done. And then, from the first and second month, it was a 2-year contract, by the way. It's the first and second month. It seemed like this leader was like, he put so much effort to bring me on board, to both work with him and his team for better transformation. But then this specific leader, that the minute you sit down with him, as if it was his absolute goal in life was to prove everybody wrong and he's right. And mind you, he can put up a good argument, to the point where he stunned the creative genius of his team, including mine. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm just going to be really difficult to work with somebody like this. And therefore, the project didn't come to fruition. It was just steps before fruition, because you cannot work with a leader that thinks he's got all the answers. Yeah. You can't do that. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, so absolutely.
Even if your answers are the right answers, even if you have all those spot-on answers and spot-on solutions that hit the nail, you still cannot be the person who makes all the decision better than everyone else. At least don't make them feel that way. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why certain organizations, including that one, have faced a lot of challenges and continue to face a lot of challenges. Yeah. So here, I want you to hear me out here a little bit. And this is something that, so when it comes to the responsibility of the leader that I was just talking about, right? So we hear the responsibility of the leader is to create that environment. The responsibility of the leader is to make sure that the vision is clear and then he rallies the masses behind that vision and etc. And I'm with that. However, one of the things we need to talk about as well is also to send a message out there is, what about the responsibility of the team towards the leadership?
Absolutely.
Not only, because if you say, hey, the teams should only serve leaders, then you know what kind of leader that we become. So it has to be a two-way street. My responsibility towards my organization and my team. And what about the responsibility of my team towards me? Why do we always have to burden the leader to do everything? I mean, come on. Yeah. Leaders and team members are one unit. They are symbiotic.
You're speaking about one of the underlying paradox principles of leadership. We often use the pyramid to kind of show the leadership, but if we really rely on the top of the pyramid to carry the base, if you were to turn that pyramid on its head, that whole staff would crush upper leadership. Leadership is not something that is reserved for the top 1% of the organization. Leadership is something that really has to go onto multiple different layers.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And if you don't create an environment that encourages that understanding, and also the understanding of self-responsibility, that even the smallest individual in an organization contributes to the overall quality of leadership that is felt by externals and internals. I often say, I think one good example of this is, I'm sure you're familiar with this system called Six Sigma. It was popular several decades ago, and what I liked about the Six Sigma approach was they said, you know what, if you want to use Six Sigma, it's not something that one person is using. You can't designate one person and say, hey, you're the Six Sigma, I'm the captain, and you're responsible. It's something that the whole organization has to carry, not on an individual basis, but on a specific individual roles, and that's what creates culture. And that's why they used to train, black belts on certain levels, green belts on other, yellow belts on other. They understood that, you have to light the fire on multiple ends of the organization so that it inflames the whole organization in a constructive, positive, warm sort of culture way.
There you go. Same thing when it comes to leadership.
If you leave it to a handful of people, I think the famous quote from Einstein, that you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a better result, right? So if you want to be prepped for leadership, you have to understand that leadership is something that has to be distributed over the organization. Yeah, absolutely.